on a day when Iram Sharmila, this activist from Manipur, is also ending her fast. And as we know that she's ending this fast after 16 long years. And to me, both Hemant Karkare and Iram Sharmila had a lot in common. Both in their own separate ways were fighting for justice, were struggling for justice in their own systems, in their own worlds. And that's why I'm very glad that this function, this seminar is happening on a day when she is happening, and it's a very apt moment to also to talk about Sangh terror and Hemant Karkare's legacy. My co-panelist, Mr. Takle, has already laid out the facts about many cases, the series of blasts that happened between 2002 and 2008. And the booklet given to you also has a lot of details about the cases. So I'll also talk about, so since those are there and he's already talked about, I'll kind of talked about, since we are talking about Sangh terror and the legacy of Hemant Karkare, before we talk about Sangh terror, we also have to understand what this Sangh is. Since there are many people who may, there are people, the children from school, so probably it would become some sort of an apt introduction. Sangh, as we know, is the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, but it's an organization which has many wings. And Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh is defined by the ideology of Hindutva. Hindutva, why I'm talking about Hindutva is that unless and until we understand Sangh terror in ideological terms, in the terms of Hindutva, we may not be able to understand the implications of the terrorists' activities, the series of bomb blasts that happened between 2002 and 2008. What is Hindutva? Hindutva ideology, as many of you would know here, has many things, but it is underlined by one particular thing, which is visceral hatred towards Muslims, Christians, and any other religious community which is non-Hindu. Their dream is to have a Hindu Rashtra, where a Hindu majoritarian rule. And Sangh terror, if you see, the people who have been caught in this, Pragyat Singh Thakur or Colonel Purohit, their idea, their world view is to fight for this idea of a Hindu Rashtra, which is inimical, which is completely opposed to the idea of India and its constitutional values of secularism, of communal harmony, and many such things. Why I'm talking about these aspects? Because Hemant Karkare, a highly decorated officer, a police officer who had lived his life with integrity, died in the Mumbai attacks, and a martyr's death, of course. And he did not think twice before plunging into the scene of terror that day. But his last few years, as we all may know, he had to face a constant smear campaign from the Hindutva forces, precisely because he was working on these cases, Sangh terror cases, and had managed to bring out certain details which until then had been unknown in public, had been some Hindutva groups operating as terrorists outfits, planting bombs in mosques, had been something unknown. Until then, any blast happened, we all know that within 2 days or 3 days, Muslim men would be picked up, branded as terrorists, and would be projected in the media by policemen or investigating forces as terrorists, and would come out as people. The media did not think of providing any evidence. The only evidence that we got when Muslim men were caught in many terror cases were the police version of it, which they talked about in press conferences, which the newspapers and televisions gladly reproduced until then. Hemant Karkare became the first officer in news who swam against the tide, and talked about a fledgling Hindutva movement acting as terror groups, as an underground movement, and within the system, within the police system, he swam against the tide, and he actually kind of he had to. As a journalist, I encounter cases, many terrorist cases where, and have also followed up on many cases where many Muslim men were framed falsely. There are several innocent men who have been framed falsely, and the policemen were later rewarded for that, were given promotions on those things. But Hemant Karkare, in that kind of an environment, was talking about something different, was talking about that this is not Islamist terrorism, this is not jihadi terrorism, this is a system, this is a terror, these are terror outfits, Sanatan Sanstha or Abhinav Bharat or Hindu Jan Jagruti Sansthan, so which wanted revenge against Muslims. That, as we know, they wanted a bomb for a bomb. So these things was Hemant Karkare was the first one to talk about. So in that sense, I can only imagine. I've never met him, but I can only imagine the kind of resistance that he must have faced in his own police force to talk about these. So why I'm also talking about why we need to understand Sangh terror in ideological terms is because the very idea to have a Hindu Rashtra or to have a Hindu majoritarian rule, and then is these and to think of planting bombs in that context has a lot of value in that term. So Hemant Karkare, who, and any person, all of us, any person and anyone in India who lives his life by Indian ethos of secularism or a syncretic culture, will be opposed to that idea. So in the last few years, that the smear campaign that Hemant Karkare had to face, his family had to face, was something we have to look at those criticism within that context. Obviously, he was not doing anything. He was not talking anything good about these forces, but in the smear campaign that he had to face, none of the fellows who were criticizing Hemant Karkare or his investigation could provide any evidence against what Hemant Karkare had produced in the court, or this 1,000-page document that the charge sheet that he had produced in Malegaon case. So and that is why I call it smear campaign, where the evidence is not tackled with counter evidence, but just general defaming of a person and nothing else. So how I come into the picture, so what exactly happened is from 2002 to 2008, there were a series of blasts. We know there's enough in the booklet for you to read. I recently interviewed another police officer who will be speaking in the next session, Vikas Narayan Rai. And these were parallel investigations, both when Malegaon was being investigated by Hemant Karkare, the Samjhauta blast, another Hindutva terror case. Samjhauta blast case was being investigated by the Haryana IPS officer, Vikas Narayan Rai, who will be speaking next month, so he'll be able to tell you better. From 2002 to 2004, there were very small blasts in front of masjids, which were generally branded as in which Muslim men and women, both of them were killed. So the media portrayed it as if it was a war between fundamentalist Islam and Sufi Islam that the Indian Muslims practice. But only around in 2006, when there was a blast in RSS Pracharak's house in Nanded, these things came to it opened a can of worms for all of us. It showed how in RSS Pracharak's house, a few people who were all from RSS were making bombs which exploded, killing the same Pracharaks and killing those who were making bombs. So in that context, it first came out that was the first instance where it was indication that even Hindutva forces who are engaged, have engaged or are planning to engage in different kinds of terrorist activities, and slowly all these evidences emerged in general public domain, wherein all in the small masjid in Aurangabad or in Parbani or in Jalna, the small blast that happened before this Nanded house blast, then all began to be linked with the Sangh terror, what we understand today. And in Haryana, when Samjhauta blast happened, when Malegaon, when it happened, in Samjhauta blast, I had interviewed Mr. Vikas Narayan Rai. So he had said how it was the Congress regime that time, and when Haryana government constituted the special investigative team, it was, everyone was hoping that there would be a Pakistan angle, but the SIT found from an unexploded device, and the SIT tracked that unexploded device to Indore and found RSS and Sangh Parivar's links there. That bomb was assembled in Indore, and the name of Sunil Joshi came up. And before the SIT could reach Sunil Joshi, he was already murdered. And simultaneously, the Malegaon blasts investigation were also happening, where Hemant Karkare could find the links of Pragya Singh Thakur, Colonel Purohit, and Swami Asimanand. So many people. So the things were beginning to be very, very clear that there is a underground network of the Sangh Parivar which is violent, which wants to create terror, which wants to plant bombs in various Muslim dominated localities, and they were largely successful between 2002 to 2008. The series of blasts included the Mecca Masjid blast, Ajmer blasts, Malegaon blast, Mudasa blast, so many, and Samjhauta Express blast. So we know by now that there is that Hindutva terror exists by this time. But what happened after? And the NIA in 2012, as we know, it brought out its charge sheet. It reported on how these people systematically, in a very, very planned way, planted bombs, and how these groups had regular meetings, and they operated at a very systematic level. They had training schools. They plotted about where else to plant bombs, and at the same time also pushed the Hindutva agenda and this ideology of hate against religious minorities in public domain through media, through public campaigns and all that, so that it takes a holistic form rather than just being. So they wanted some sort of public defense, obviously, and terrorism was a part of it. But as soon as, like for me, the interest is after 2014, how the present BJP government, the NDA government, is subverting the whole process of investigation that had happened between 2008 and 2014. So the first thing the BJP government did was to give an extension to the NIA chief Sharad Kumar, which is absolutely unprecedented. So we all know Sharad Kumar was, according to various sources, Sharad Kumar was given an extension in the pretext that he will take up these Hindutva terror cases. And he was, after retirement, I talked to many IAS and IPS officers, there has hardly been any precedence where an NIA chief has been given extension just because he was working on certain cases. Before this, the CBI chief Ranjit Sinha was also working on 2G case and coal scam, but when he retired, he retired. He was not given an extension. So Sharad Kumar, soon after Sharad Kumar was given an extension, we see the National Investigative Agency, which was pursuing all these cases, the Sangh terror cases, completely depart from the report that NIA had earlier made, and it exonerated Pragya Singh Thakur of Makoka charges. It called Hemant Karkare's report as dubious, and it said that none of these charges are maintainable. So, and also refused to take into account the witnesses' statements which Hemant Karkare had interviewed and provided in the charge sheet, which the NIA later took into account. So, when this happened, and around the same time, the public prosecutor in Malegaon case, Rohini Salian, came out to the media complaining that NIA is pushing her to go soft. This is what she said: go soft on Hindutva terror cases. So there's a clear indicate. This is clear enough indication to show that the BJP government at the center does not want these cases to be pursued. And at the same time, NIA completely setting aside the previous NIA report, started investigating the Lashkar-e-Taiyiba links with Samjhauta blasts or other blasts. So this is what that is why I was talking about what Hindutva is about. BJP is the Sangh Parivar's face, parliamentary face, if I can say that. And we all know that BJP has a history of propagating Hindutva, but this blatant attitude towards the Hindutva cases and branding the Hindutva cases as nothing but a figment of imagination is subverting the whole investigative process that India has evolved over the years. So India has evolved over the years, and there's a system there's a system of investigation where the police officer investigates and provides charge sheet. The Bombay High Court has already intervened in that, created a special court. Yet after all this process, the NIA says that there is absolutely no charges against Pragya Singh Thakur or anyone else. So what we are seeing is a complete subversion of process of justice, whatever there is in India right now. So if I can cite an example, I recently did a story on the rejection of bail plea of Pragya Singh Thakur. So Mumbai High Court, the special court in Mumbai rejected the Pragya Singh Thakur, one of the chief accused in Malegaon blasts, bail plea. So what exactly did the court say according to you? So it pointed out grave failures of the NIA, and it also pointed out how the NIA is completely negating or have ignored the aspects that crucial aspects in the case. The court noted that these groups want a nation based on Hindutva ideology, and they call it Aryavrat. They don't believe in constitution. They don't believe in constitution, and they had prepared a list of around 70 people to be excommunicated who are obstructions in this road to Hindutva. I'm trying to say is from 2002 to 2008, we see a lot of underground activities, but now they enjoy so much of impunity with the NDA government in power that they are doing it openly. You must have recently seen the video that went viral about Bajrang Dal training camps attacking as in mock drill, where the Bajrang Dal activists are attacking people who are impersonating as Muslims. And then you see the mushrooming of Gauraksha Dals who are wreaking havoc everywhere, beating up, lynching people, and especially Muslims everywhere. So this is a bomb for a bomb policy is what they want. And for me, Hemant Karkare, police officers with integrity, there are only a few especially, and these people are not being allowed to work. And we must defend these police officers who are fighting or standing against the system, of majoritarian system presently, and we must kind of, and it is a fight between those those who want to create conflicts and those who look for harmony in these times of conflict. It's a choice we must make, and which side we are on. That's it. Thank you.